Hello, grade 9s and 10s. We are going to be talking about Macbeth today, and before I start, I want to say good job on the quizzes that you guys wrote on Thursday, I believe it was. So I was pleased with most of the quizzes, so good job on that. Now we're heading into the final act of Macbeth, so that's exciting, and things are really ramping up. And something that you might have noticed in Act 4 is that Lady Macbeth, I don't think she's mentioned at all, and she's not present at all, which is interesting because at the beginning of the play, it does start with Macbeth and Banquo, but she is a big part in that because Macbeth writes to her right away and he informs her of what happens with the witches, and she's obviously a big part of his life, and she's the one who eggs him on to murder the king. But by this point, in all of Act 4, at the end of Act 3, he tells her he's going to visit the witches, but then in Act 4, he does this on his own. We don't see any sign of him reporting to her what has happened, and then he kills Lady Macduff and he attacks Macduff's castle and kills Lady Macduff and her son, and then what happens after that? 3. Yeah, so we see that Macbeth is acting on his own. He's looking for advice from the witches, but he's not going to his wife for advice. He's not telling her what he's doing, and he's not looking for advice from her. So he's really separated himself from her in a way that is very different from what it was like at the beginning of the play. And so now when we start Act 5, it's interesting to note what her behavior is like. And so I'm going to read Scene 1 to you from Act 5, and you can follow along with your play so you can see what's happening there. This isn't a very long scene, but it's quite important because it shows a marked difference in Lady Macbeth's behavior from now as compared to what it was like at the beginning of the play. And so what we see is that Lady Macbeth has a gentlewoman, and that would be her personal servant or her attendant of some sort. And this woman goes to a doctor and asks for advice and says, could you please come watch Lady Macbeth when she sleeps, because she doesn't sleep well and she's not well. She seems very sick or something's wrong with her. And the doctor is asking questions, and the gentlewoman says that she sleepwalks and she does a lot of things in her sleep, and it's quite disturbing, and she talks a lot, but the gentlewoman will not tell the doctor what she actually says, because it seems that Lady Macbeth is saying things in her sleep that are, she's revealing secrets, and this woman doesn't want to tell those secrets to the doctor. But luckily, at that moment, coincidentally, the doctor sees Lady Macbeth walking with a candle. And so as you know, this was written, it was written about 400 years ago, and it was set about 400 years before that. So this is set in about the year 1200. So obviously there was no electricity. So she's carrying around a candle, and she's asleep, but she's sleepwalking, and her eyes are open. Okay, so we see Lady Macbeth, and the doctor doesn't think she's sick, but he says she's very unwell, and she needs divine help. She needs help from God, or she needs help from a minister. She needs spiritual help, not physical help. So let's get into reading that. Okay, so we have the doctor and a waiting gentlewoman. So the doctor says, I have 2 nights watched with you, but can perceive no truth in your report. When was it she last walked? So right away we know that the doctor has stayed with this gentlewoman for 2 whole nights, waiting for Lady Macbeth to sleepwalk, and nothing has happened. So that would be very frustrating to sit up for 2 nights straight and to watch for that, and nothing happens. So he said, okay, I can't. You told me this, but I've been watching for 2 nights, nothing has happened. The gentlewoman, since His Majesty went into the field, I have seen her rise from her bed. So who's His Majesty? So that's Macbeth. So since Macbeth has gone to prepare to fight, because he knows people are coming to attack him, so since she has left, I have seen her rise from her bed, throw her nightgown upon her, unlock her closet, take forth paper, fold it, write upon it, read it, and afterwards seal it, and again return to bed, yet all this while in a most fast sleep. A great perturbation in nature to receive at once the benefit of sleep and do the effects of watching. In this slumbery agitation, besides her walking and other actual performances, what at any other time have you heard her say? That, sir, which I will not report after her. I'm not telling you what she said. You may to me, and 'tis most meet you should. You really should tell me. Neither to you nor anyone, having no witness to confirm my speech. So and then Lady Macbeth walks in, and she would be in her, what's it called? Sleeping gown? What is it called? It's called nighties, pajamas. Okay. And the gentlewoman says, Lo, you, here she comes. This is her very guise, and upon my life fast asleep. Observe her, stand close. How came she by that light? Why, it stood by her. She has light by her continually. 'Tis her command. So the doctor said, where did she get that candle? And the gentlewoman said she asks, or she commands, that she has a candle by her all the time. So she wasn't asleep and lighting a candle. She just picked it up off her bedside table. Okay. You see her eyes are open. Aye, but their scents are shut. What is it she does now? Look how she rubs her hands. It is an accustomed action with her to seem thus washing her hands. I have known her continue in this in a quarter of an hour. So Lady Macbeth is standing, and she's wringing her hands or doing something like this. It seems like she's washing her hands. And the gentlewoman says she's seen her doing this for upwards of 15 minutes in her sleep, just seeming to be washing her hands. So this is a very telling symbol of why does she feel like she needs to wash her hands. And there's a one reference to this is in the Bible, in the Gospels. Pontius Pilate, he has Jesus before him, and the people want him to kill Jesus, and he doesn't want to. First of all, because he can't find anything wrong. He says he hasn't done anything wrong. He doesn't deserve to die. And then secondly, because his wife has had a dream, and she had a horrible nightmare that warned her not to have anything to do with killing this man. And so he feels so pressured into it by the crowd that he gets out some water and washes his hands, and he says, I wash my hands of this man's death. So it's a symbol of saying, I don't have any blood on my hands, I haven't done anything wrong, it's not my fault. And Lady Macbeth can't seem to get the blood off of her hands. So it's not physically there, but symbolically she feels this deep guilt, and that's why she's having these sleepwalking episodes. So she's washing her hands, just rubbing them out, and she says, yet here's a spot. Just as a side note, once one of my children was sick, and she had a fever, and sometimes she wakes up in the night and has some kind of like nightmares, and she woke up and she was sleep talking, and it seemed like she was awake, but she wasn't, and she said, my hands are muddy, I need to get this mud off my hands, and I was telling her that there was no mud on her hands, but she didn't, I don't know, she just couldn't understand that, or she was in this state. So then so I got some wipes out and wiped down her hands and pretended that I was wiping the mud off of them, and that seemed to work. But it's kind of similar to that. I thought that was kind of a funny connection. Okay, so the doctor says, hark, she speaks. I will set down what comes from her to satisfy my remembrance the more strongly. So I will write this down so I will remember what she said. Out, damn spot, out, I say. So this whole time she's washing her hands, or trying to. 1, 2, what then? 'Tis time to do it. Hell is murky. Fie, my lord, fie, a soldier and afeard? What need we fear, who knows it, when none can call our power to account? Yet who would have thought the old man to have had so much blood in him? So she's saying, we don't need to be afraid. nobody can stop us. We're the king and the queen, basically. But then she starts thinking, but why was there so much blood? So referring to King Duncan. Do you mark that? Like, do you hear what she's saying? The Thane of Fife had a wife, and that's Macbeth. Where is she now? What, will these hands never be clean? No more of that, my lord, no more of that. You mar all with this starting. Go to, you have known what you should not. So he's saying to the gentlewoman, like, wow, you found out a lot of dirty secrets. She has spoke what she should not, I am sure of that. Heaven knows what she has known. Here's the smell of this blood still. All the perfumes of Arabia will not sweeten this little hand. Oh. So, I don't know if any of you have ever touched a pig before, but your hand smells bad for about 4 days afterwards. So, that's something that sticks to you. And she feels like she can still smell the blood on her hands no matter how much perfume she puts on herself. What a sigh is there. The heart is sorely charged. I would not have such a heart in my bosom for the dignity of the whole body. Well. Pray God it be, sir. This disease is beyond my practice. Yet I have known those which have walked in their sleep, who have died holily in their beds. Wash your hands. Put on your nightgown. Look not so pale. I tell you yet again, Banquo's buried. He cannot come out of his grave. Even so? So it's like all these murders are coming out. So, okay, they killed King Duncan. Oh, they killed the Lady Macbeth. And they killed Banquo too? To bed. They're knocking at the gate. Come. Give me your hand. What's done cannot be undone. To bed. Then she leaves. Will she go now to bed? Directly. Foul whisperings are abroad. Unnatural deeds do breed unnatural troubles. Infected minds to their deaf pillows will discharge their secrets. More needs she the divine than the physician. So this is where he's saying she doesn't really need a doctor or a physician. She needs God or a minister, someone that can help her spiritually. God, forgive us all. Look after her. Remove from her the means of all annoyance and still keep eyes upon her. So good night. So he's saying to the gentlewoman, get rid of anything which bothers her or frustrates her in any way, and keep your eyes on her at all times. So good night. My mind she has mated and amazed my sight. I think, but dare not speak. Good night, good doctor. Okay, so this is a very interesting scene, and the gentlewoman and the doctor, it's interesting that they don't feel like, oh, this evil woman, we should punish her, she should be killed for what she did or go to jail or something. They have a lot of sympathy for her, and I think that really shows how much Lady Macbeth's character and personality have changed, because the kind of personality she had at the beginning of the play was so in your face and so rude that I think if she was talking like that now and she was saying, yeah, I did that murder, oh, and I killed this person, even in her sleep, I think they would be outraged and they would probably try to get her punished in some way. But she's become such a pitiful, pathetic kind of character because she's so distressed, and she obviously is carrying this burden so much just by washing her hands, and she can't get rid of this guilt. So I think they feel sorry for her, and they feel like they want to help her and they want to make sure that she's okay. And so for this scene, I'd like you to write your summary just as you always do, and that can be for Thursday night, so tomorrow night. But the other thing I would like you to do is write a character sketch of Lady Macbeth. So I've posted this online on the Google Classroom, and there's a little bit of a description of what I want you to do for the character sketch, and there's also a description of what is a character sketch anyway, because some of you, probably the grade 9s, you might not have written a character sketch before. I think most of the grade 10s probably have, but it's not a drawing. You can do a picture if you want to, and that would be lovely, but a character sketch is not a drawing in English class. It's an essay, a short essay, describing someone's character. So you're going to use words to like figuratively paint a picture of what this character is like. So it should be 300 words, which is about 1 page typed if you double space it. And what you're going to do is look back through the play, especially at the beginning in Act 1, and see where just some of those important lines of Lady Macbeth, like her mocking her husband and saying he's not much of a man, and those kinds of things. So just go through and think, how is she explaining, or sorry, how does Shakespeare present Lady Macbeth? What kind of person is she? So you just give some some basic description of who she is and what she's like, and then get into a little bit more detail of her personality. And then you want to show how has she changed by the end of the play. And this scene that we read just now is the main difference in what we can see. By Act 3, we can see that that Macbeth is kind of pulling away from Lady Macbeth a bit, and she's becoming a little more frightened. But this is the scene, Act 5, Scene 1, that's really telling of how her personality has changed. So you can read the description on Google Classroom, but that's just a little idea for you of what you're going to do. So you're going to show what Lady Macbeth's character was like at the beginning of the play and how she has changed now towards the end of the play. And so that's going to be about 300 words, and it's due next Wednesday. So let me know if you have questions, and that will be, it's not a major assignment, but it is a bigger assignment. It's not just a small homework assignment. It's worth 3, it's a weight of 3 on my school, which is 1.5 times what a quiz would be. A quiz would be 2 points, or a weight of 2, so it's worth more than that. So it's not something that you should do really, really quickly. You should really take your time and read through the scenes and look for quotes and look for and really think about this. So at this point, what you should be doing is just jotting down some ideas of what her personality is like now, what her personality was like before, and then start kind of pulling this together. And you want to think, how can you organize this nicely? You want it to be well written. So take your time with it and just start thinking of it now or over the next couple of days, and then you can develop it as you go and make the best essay that you can. So great. All right, have a great day.